All right, so there went another episode.
Another one bites the dust.
We're back to review episode
Don't
6 of The Mandalorian.
Not
Love
as good
the
as
background music.
Now, you know what? Actually, Queen is better than Ludwig Göransson, the score composer of the show. Even though he continues to be a bright spot and silver lining as these episodes churn on through the holiday season, so that people buy plush toys and action figures. Because you know what? That's a good representation of what the show's turning into. The Mandalorian, probably still the big draw for the show. Obviously, the show's named after him. He's just like a walking action figure at this point. In this episode, he gets a little James Bondy. He gets a little gadgetry in, and there's a decent plot going on. But personally, it's another one-off, throw a bunch of characters
Another
at you
side
episode.
mission, yeah.
Side mission, and the results predictable as can be. With a couple of minor surprises that we'll get into. This episode opens up with him. We thought we missed something.
Yeah, I thought I'd missed an entire episode because he's docking at this station where he's apparently meeting an old buddy.
An old bounty buddy.
And he's taking a job and everything and going in his own ship, and he's with 4 other people, and all of a sudden they're all on his ship, and they're these bounty hunters. We learned what his
ship's named. I think it's the first time his ship is named. It's the Razor Crest.
Right, so...
That's cool.
That is cool. But we're sitting here wondering, what did we miss? Where's Baby Yoda?
Yeah, at the 10-minute mark, we had to rewind because
and then go back and see if we skipped an
said,
episode, too.
Well, no, I know we didn't skip an episode. I thought we skipped, I pressed skip intro today, so I thought we missed something in the introduction. But no, first scene is that ship flying in, which we've seen that ship fly into like 12 different settings now at this point. They glamorize each landing very well. $100 million TV show about ships landing in different locales and different characters being introduced. It's fine.
But yeah, so okay, 10 minutes in, or 10 and a half minutes in, and he's got this crew of rough bounty hunters on his ship now, and they're very aggressive and they don't get along at all.
Rewind a bit.
And we don't know where Baby Yoda is.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him. Like, okay, where the hell?
Rewind a bit. He meets an old buddy of his, like you said. His name is Ran. He's played by a guy who's a pretty good character actor, Mark Boone Jr., I want to say his name is. Yeah. He's been in some stuff that I've seen.
Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, I think that's what I know him from. He's like a biker on that show, or a bike gang leader. Yeah, that is what Sons of Anarchy is about. So he's he's a good character actor, good guy, and he basically throws this mission at the Mandalorian, who's in need of cash at this point, or money, I think. And it's like a ragtag assembly of a crew that he's got at his disposal, Rand does. And so the first guy he introduces, here's your celebrity cameo of the week. Bill Burr plays Mayfield, who's a former Imperial Trooper sniper.
Imperial sniper, but he was not a stormtrooper. The one part that I found was funny is that they, of course, had to put that stormtrooper joke in there about how they miss everything, they can't hit anything. Because when Rand mentioned that Mayfield was the best shot and best sniper out there, and he used to be an Imperial
sharpshooter.
Yeah, he used to be an Imperial sharpshooter or sniper. Mando is like, that doesn't say much. And then Mayfield whipped back around and
said, I wasn't a stormtrooper. But yeah, basically, Bill Burr is the lead of this Suicide Squad-like group of ragtag characters. And then there's a Hellboy-looking guy. His name's Berg. He's like the muscle in the group. And then there's this chick who reminds me, she's got dual purple horns coming down. She reminds me a lot.
They're not really horns. They're almost like a mix of horns and tentacles. She's only got one on each side, but they're flexible like tentacles.
I don't know what race it is. So sorry, fanboys, if you know exactly what race she is and have memorized the race. I don't know, but her name's
I don't know how to pronounce
Zian is her name. And yeah, she's got this cool look to her. She reminds me of clown, a carnival clown from an old show that I used to see, an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, which scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. And there was this psycho clown.
She's just nuts and reckless and
then, not to be forgotten, of course, what would it be without what would a ragtag Star Wars group be without a droid involved? And Zero is this droid who, for me, was the coolest aspect of the team. He was snarky. He was a real smart-ass droid, and he's played by Richard Ayoade, who is the IT crowd guy with the afro, and also from The Watch. That guy. So he was a good selection there.
So they're all, the mission is that they are supposed to infiltrate a ship and rescue
a New Republic ship. That's important to note because
but they didn't tell Mando that
Republic.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
They just said it was an adversary. And they were going to break out one of their guys. And Mando didn't even know which dude they were breaking out or what type of ship until they were already... he'd already accepted.
Yep.
And he didn't even know who they were breaking out until they opened the cell door. And...
Well, it turns out...
Not someone he liked.
No, after a couple of comedic, quirky moments with a New Republic guard on the ship and some little droids and stuff like that. Yeah.
They were real small, too. It wasn't anything grand.
No, nothing super expansive. This is basically like a train heist scene from an old Western, and there's been a lot of Western vibes from this show, from the music to the scenery. And this was a more isolated, closed quarters battle type episode, so most of it takes place on this New Republic ship. There are a couple of space scenes, but the bulk of it is on the ship that is flown by the droid, which I thought was kind of cute, because the droid was supposed to be just this expert pilot. Rand does not go on this mission. He's basically just the dictator of who's going to go on the mission, and he gives full control over to the Bill Burr character to make the decisions. And the first decision he makes is that Zero, the droid, is going to fly the ship. And that scene was actually pretty endearing to me because the whole landing and the sequence of them approaching the ship and extending the docking, like landing pads and all that. It was so droid-like. It was precise. It was quick. It was without.
Oh yeah, he didn't give them a countdown.
Yeah,
it was just everyone was being tossed around in the back.
Yeah, and important to note that at this point we do find out Baby Yoda is still with the Mandalorian.
Oh yeah,
because they accidentally open a closet door. And
his sleeping
Yoda's
spot.
there, and Bill Burr has his little comedy shtick. The thing. Look, I like Bill Burr. He's okay. He's a funny comedian, but Bill Burr's been on record for criticizing Star Wars as being like the Muppets in space, and sort of using Star Wars fans and the lore and the obsession over Star Wars as the butt of some of his jokes and some of his routines.
Makes his presence as an actor a little confusing.
A little disdainful in this show, even though I still think he was cast correctly. I can't think of another guy. All these characters are they're jerks in their own way. All these guys that are put on this mission. Even the droid's a jerk. He's a jerk droid.
Oh yeah.
Bill Burr's a jerk. The Hellboy-looking character, Berg's a jerk. And the chick, she just laughs, and she's a jerk, too.
She's so annoying.
Yes, they're all annoying in their own way, except for the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, of course. So, okay, now they're on this ship, and we've got a couple of minor sequences. It's a prisoner ship. There's a lot of other captives and creatures on there. And they reach their destination, and it turns out that the captive they're rescuing is... the purple... It's
the brother of the...
Zan. Yeah, Zian, that's it.
His name is Quinn, and they're rescuing him.
Yeah, and Quinn and Zian have a history with the Mandalorian. They've been involved
They used to go on bounties with him.
In some of the battles and bounties and the good old days, as Rand referred to them as. So they...
It's not a super happy... ending, apparently, because the Mandalorian left him and all, but didn't have only great memories with them out on bounties.
Yeah, there's a little bit of bitterness between those three characters, and it's quickly revealed that there are ulterior motives on this mission, because they just quickly, as they escort Quinn out of the cell, they push the Mandalorian in, they close the cell doors, and what a twist of events.
That totally wasn't predictable, right?
The ragtag group turns their back. Look, I was trying to watch this episode with an open mind, because I was critical of the last episode very heavily, and in my defense, a lot of people were, and a lot of people don't like the direction that this show's going in. So I turned off that hypercritical
They just made it so obvious on this episode, though, because you can see the others talking amongst themselves as they were watching Mando, so you knew that they were plotting something. It wasn't like it was some secret or anything. It was very obvious that they were going to do something. It was just a matter of when are they going to do it and what exactly are they going to do. But this all started happening whenever they noticed Baby Yoda. It's like it fueled them wanting to do something.
Yeah,
to Mando.
You could start sensing the suspicion.
Whispering while staring at Mando. Okay,
yeah, the ulterior motivation. Yeah. So they trap Mando basically in
the cell.
Did we skip over the New Republic guard scene?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There was another minor character. Again, you got to keep track of all of these characters. Not gonna lie, we need the help of IMDb articles and stuff like that to get down who's who in these episodes, because there's so many people involved. But basically, they throw a New Republic guy who's manning the security cameras of the station. He apparently has some affiliation with the Star Wars Rebels show. He was like a voice of Anakin Skywalker. So again, some more fanfare for the people that are super obsessed with who's who and who's playing who and all of this. It's like this. I get it too. The hands that this show is in, a lot of folks are first-time live-action directors, first-time live-action producers and writers and stuff like that for Star Wars. So this is almost like a litmus test for a lot of this talent that's been homegrown in more of the animated realm. And now they're getting their crack at live action. And so I get the editing is a little shoddy. I get the character development is sparse and very short. And I'm starting to empathize a little more, even though guys like Jon Favreau are writing this and he's got a huge reputation and it's George Lucas at the end of the day in his world. The people that are really hands-on with this series are kind of new to this stuff. So this is a learning curve for them, and there's a lot of quick scenes that don't materialize into anything important. Like there was a scene in this episode where, because the droid's still on the ship with Yoda, and they have like this little hide and seek mini game going on
where the droid is he's got his blaster, and he's trying to hunt down Baby Yoda.
And there's a scene where it's literally 20 seconds of the droid looking for Yoda, and Yoda just pokes his head around a corner as if we're supposed to be like oh, isn't he cute, they're playing hide and seek.
No,
so
we weren't supposed to say that, but yeah,
but that's it. That's all it was trying
don't find him.
That's all they're trying to elicit out of that scene. It didn't need to exist, is I guess what I'm saying.
They just wanted him to have the screen time because he is popular.
Yeah, and yeah, so okay, back to the plot structure of this
We're
episode.
all over the place with this thing.
But that's okay. This thing's all over the place too. So and it's really going nowhere. The show in general right now, it's just side quest after side quest, but that's okay. If that's your thing, that's fine too. So back to the plot structure. Mandalorian's trapped in the cell that they just freed Quinn from, and all the bad guys are about to escape. And
surprise, surprise, he finds a way out.
Finds a way out very quickly, which was kind of cool. The aggressiveness. And
that part was cool.
Yeah, the aggressiveness of the Mandalorian in this episode, and sort of like the horror vibey twist in some of the scenes, like when the lights go red and he's creeping up behind.
Oh yeah, no, that part was awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of stalking, sort of very James Bond maneuvering-esque stuff going on in this episode from his end.
Well, because there was a quote whenever the red guy, what was his name? Berg, when he asked...
Hellboy?
Right. When he asked why do they need a Mandalorian in the first place, and Mayfield said they're supposed to be the best warriors in the galaxy type thing. So...
Why are there none of them left?
Right, but no, just the whole part of where he said they're supposed to be the best warriors in the galaxy, and you can kind of see hints of that through the rest of the episode. It's like all of the Mandalorian's battle scenes or his fight scenes or anything like that, or even those horror moments where he's sneaking up and it's like it's giving credit to that statement that was mentioned before, because you can see, oh, that actually is a great battle tactic. Where there's parts where they thought that the Mandalorian abandoned them when really he was just flanking the enemy type thing. He went around, or the way he snuck up on someone, and it's like, how did he get from there to there? And it's like the rest of the episode.
Yeah, he's
his scenes was giving credit to making that statement from earlier in the show valid.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, and that was the coolest part of this episode to me. So the Mandalorian's free, obviously, and there's like a 10 to 20 minute countdown because the New Republic security guard alerted, after they had a little Mexican standoff, he alerted the New Republic backup team to come help out.
Yeah, there was an SOS signal.
They got about 20 minutes left before the stuff hits the fan. And all the bad guys are trying to escape and get back on the ship, and the Mandalorian escapes as well. So then he gets access to the security room, and he sort of quarantines them and controls...
So that nobody can get to the ship, because he wasn't going to be able to get to his ship before they did, so instead of running to his ship to try to catch up to them, he ran to the control room to shut down and close all the doors.
Yeah.
Very strategic, which is a great idea, because in my mind I was saying you need to get to the ship, but he just went to the control room, which is like, that was a better plan.
And then he hunts them down. That's why you're not a Mandalorian.
Shush.
And then he hunts them down one at a time, and basically we don't see anything more.
We don't see what he does with them, right?
Yeah, we don't see what happens to them. So all that part was cool. I like the little one-on-one engagement.
It kind of felt like it became his hunting ground.
Yeah, like very Predator-like.
Yes.
So that was great. And then he gets back on the ship and he blows the droid away.
Right before the droid was fixing to shoot Baby Yoda.
And Yoda was trying to use the force to slow it down. Another cute moment. Great. And then the Mandalorian offs the droid and heads back with the bounty intact, which is Quinn.
Because it's his honor.
His job,
he has to fulfill the bounty.
He needs the dough.
He does need it.
And they make it back to Rand's ship, or
Station,
docking bay, whatever it is. And he hands off
He hands off Quinn
off,
and then gets his
and
money.
And then gets back and jettisons off back into space. But then, again, the predictability of Rand turning his back on the Mandalorian kicks in, and he orders like an automated ship
a weapon ship
to track him down and go shoot him out into space. But once again, the Mandalorian is
one step ahead,
2-3 steps ahead.
That's true.
of these guys, and the Republic that was supposed to show up. Yeah, the tracking device
from way earlier in the episode, he had hid that on Quinn.
Yep.
The bounty that he delivered to Rand.
So the New Republic that was supposed to show up at their prison ship, which I still don't understand. If the SOS comes from the New Republic...
No, it doesn't come from the ship. It came from the device. From the
device itself?
Yes, from the actual device.
I get it. So you're telling me that they didn't have a radar on where their prison ship was, and they didn't put two and two together?
Think if it was SOS or a signal that needed to come from the ship, it would have been a button on the control panel, not a handheld device he could take anywhere.
That was faulty decision-making on the part of the New Republic.
That was.
Because it should have been a big red button
portable
on the console.
SOS type thing. So, yeah. Mandalorian kind of figured that they might betray him, I guess. So he had stuffed that little tracking device, SOS signal, on Quinn, and lo and behold,
purple guy.
Yeah, they show up right as the weapons
which was cool.
ship was about to launch to go get the Mandalorian, and they They noticed that there was a weapon ship, so they all fire and...
Another highlight, there were 3 or 4 moments in this episode where I was like, oh man, this is good. Mainly the stalking scene where he's catching up to Mayfeld and the lights are flickering in the red. That was really cool. Also, the X-Wing scene with the New Republic showing up and taking care of business was cool. Little Easter egg, those 3... pilots were actually, they're all directors of this show. So Dave Filoni, the guy we've talked about in the past, he's one of the directors. The director of this episode, I'm gonna get his name wrong. It's Rick Famuyiwa. Okay, he's got Famuyiwa.
I don't know.
Sorry, man. But
sorry.
He's one of the X-Wing pilots, and then Deborah Chow is another one of the X-Wing pilots, and she's got her hands in this series as well. So, yeah, this is all a tight-knit family, and they're giving each other shout-outs and sort of throwing each other Easter eggs in every single episode that we're seeing. That's all they're doing, and...
This episode had only one difference.
What's that?
From all the other episodes. This is the only episode where the Mandalorian did not make a positive connection.
We don't know that. He might have with the New Republic.
What New Republic?
That's true. Yeah,
His
they have
ship
no
is
idea.
undetectable.
Yeah, that's true.
And they can't, they may have seen him physically, but they can't, get a reading on his ship to be able to track him.
He did spare the buffoons. They might...
they are pissed at him. Another spoiler, it does a flashback to the prison ship, and he didn't kill the 3 other bounty hunters. He
did kill the droid because he hates droids.
Yeah, he does. And the droid was about to shoot Baby Yoda, but he trapped them in a cell together.
Yeah.
So no, he's not making a positive connection with them. But
he did spare them. Could have easily killed them.
No, they're not gonna forgive him for that. That's not how they work. They're too... I mean, if they were mad at him just because he decided not to continue going on bounties with them and go his own way, there's no way in hell they're going to forgive him for this. So this is the only episode where he did not make a positive connection with someone that he might be able to later come back to and say, hey, I need a favor or anything like that, or call upon.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is okay, one thing different.
You only got 2 episodes left, man. What in the world? I think season 2, we've already addressed this. Season 2 is already stamped and sealed and ready to go. Filming probably.
Hopefully
that's gonna be the real meat and potatoes of this series. I think is gonna be in the next season, because there's no way they can do it in two episodes. This is another 35 minutes of fun, but not attached to a main story, irrelevant. Again, some of this may be ahead of time, and maybe it's all beautifully tied in. I just don't feel like the talent as far as the storytelling and the directorship is there yet, and I'm starting to understand why. Because some of the people involved in this, as we've said numerous times, were involved in the animated series, and those it's starting to show, because with animated TV shows, you can be very cookie cutter from episode to episode, and there's a lot of filler as well. There's no the main arcs can sort of take breaks here and there. You don't have to all tie it back every episode, and it's bleeding into this.
It's just this entire episode, as well as most of the others, felt like it could have been a side mission within a longer episode. Like, it could have been something that it showed that they were doing while they were on and, fulfilling the larger plot summary.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get your $1 million out of Bill Burr that you probably had to pay him to show up for this thing. It's weird. But, again, the Mandalorian's the strong point. He's still...
I mean, for the first 10 and a half minutes, it felt very displaced, like we missed something, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't feel like it all flows.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. I told a buddy of mine this week that maybe when this is all done, this first season, Disney Plus will be wise enough to release it as one seamless sort of film, like a 3.5, 4-hour movie, because that's about what the runtime is going to be if these things average 30 to 40 minutes. And I think a 3.5-hour movie makes a little more sense for this. Like, even though that's a long movie, it's still, I feel like it would flow.
Anyone who's a Star Wars fan is going to watch a 3.5-hour Star Wars film, so not
Yeah.
really that big of a deal.
I'm already sensing that this flows better as a whole. And I may want to rewatch it someday, like before season 2. We may watch all of this like straight through just to catch up. But right now it's disjointed, and that's weird because at the first episode I was so amped for this to be a week-to-week thing because
I was so sucked in and like ready for it because it was awesome, and then every episode after has just felt disconnected from each other, and
I will say this one's better than the
feeling
last.
a little lost.
This is the best of the last 3 episodes, in my opinion. I
wouldn't
remember
argue that, yeah.
I remember more from this one than I do from the one where they land on the planet with the Vikings and the ATST war.
One, yeah.
And I remember more than the mechanic episode and the
we did just watch this
sniper
one.
battle. Yep. Yeah, there is that too. Maybe this is just fresh and
like
juicy.
10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're nearing the limit for this because our talk is almost as long as the episode was.
I guess that means we're out of stuff to say.
That does mean we're out of stuff to say. Did we wrap everything up that happened in the end? They're zooming on. What happens next? Probably something completely irrelevant, right?
It's just him and Baby Yoda in the ship as they're
in
leaving,
space,
and
but he's got money.
He gives Baby Yoda that little weird ball thing off of one of his control things, and I told you that was a bad idea. That was it.
Yep. And we've got an episode on the 20th and the 27th, I want to say. Or actually, I think we'll confirm that. And
we'll get the episodes out when we get the episodes out, I guess.
Yeah. But I think they're doing something different for the last 2 episodes because Star Wars movie's coming out. And they're trying to make it all, get the most bang for
one
your buck.
Not get
and
overshadowed
attention.
by the other. Yeah.
Yeah. Smart guys over there at Disney.
Oh, we'll figure it out.
Smart guys.
And that's it for episode 6 of The Mandalorian.
That's all I got. Let it all out. Shout. Shout. Let it all out.
And we're ending that there before you start
Mandalorian's
breaking
the
down in
things
song.
I can do without.